Kia ora, no mai, welcome to The Elephant. I'm Miriam Makamo.
And I'm Mark Kreisel. There's an elephant in the room and we need to talk about it.
The diagnosis feels wishy-washy, but the spectrum is so wide. Like, yeah, do you drive crazy? Yeah. Do you talk loud? It's like, yeah, well, but I mean, my job's comedian.
How have I had a career if I did not have ADHD? That's why I love it. I love my superpower.
Well, it feels like a fad now. Like everybody has it.
You can't treat everybody with ADHD in the same way.
I think that the system is flawed, as in they just give you a pill when they think there's something wrong with you.
You're saying it's not real?
I feel it's really sad that as a culture we're selling false fixes.
There's good
There are
evidence that
lots of
untreated
different-
ADHD leads to substance use problems, promotes depression, anxiety,
Actually,
and all that kind of thing.
No, the evidence is not good on any of that.
The Elephant's all about the tough stuff. We want to talk about the stuff that's getting pushed to the edges, moving people into echo chambers and away from rational discussion.
In this episode, we're talking about adult ADHD. Is it real?
ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is often thought to be a childhood condition, but an estimated 8 million adults are affected by it.
That's 8 million in the US. Here, health authorities say 1 in 20 New Zealand adults, or 280,000 of us, have ADHD.
Yeah, but if you spend 5 minutes on social media, it just feels like everyone has it or thinks that they do.
Recently found out that I've got ADHD. My friend Laura told me. And so Laura recently found out that she's got ADHD. And it turns out that one of the main symptoms of ADHD is the ability to diagnose it in friends and family.
Right? And every second celebrity has it. Like Paris Hilton.
As a teenager, I always felt like I had it, but mostly they would just say, no, it's like teenage boys, you're too smart to have it.
So is it the new cool thing? Is ADHD having a moment for adults?
Doctors across the country say they're seeing a significant spike in the number of adults over the age of 30 being diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD.
In the 3 years from January 2021, that rate of first-time diagnoses rose 27% among 30 to 44-year-olds and slightly more among 45 to 64-year-olds.
I never considered the possibility that I might have ADHD until I started getting a lot of this kind of content on social media.
Some say social media is to blame. On TikTok alone, there are more than 4 million posts with the hashtag ADHD.
Now, here's the thing, fam. Online screening tests are not a diagnosis. It seems there's a fair bit of self-diagnosis going on, but these screening tests are just a guide that might suggest you go to get a professional diagnosis.
And that, in itself, isn't easy. It's a 2 to 4 hour in-depth screening that should be done by a neuropsychiatrist or someone trained in diagnosing ADHD. It can be hard to get these appointments and expensive.
Quotes I've had from people is minimum $2,000 just to get to the basic stage, and it's money I don't have.
Yep, so part of our discussion today is around equity. Are the costs prohibitive for those who need it most?
But Minnie,
Yes.
remember, there are those who say adult ADHD isn't even real.
Yeah, true. So if it doesn't exist, then why even bother getting a diagnosis?
First of all, the research that's out there for ADHD and ASD, it's garbage. It's ableist. I know that because I'm reading it. I know you're not reading it, though. You guys aren't up to date.
We'll talk about that soon with our experts. But first, what is this condition?
Experts say there are 3 types of ADHD, inattentive, hyperactive, or a mix of both.
Okay, so let's talk to 2 people who've been diagnosed with ADHD. Musician, Anika Moore.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. And comedian, Guy Williams. Now, first off, guys, I've got to ask you, Anika, you forgot this was on?
And I was wondering why you were texting me all the time. I was like, why is he texting me? It's not for another 3 days or something. Anyway.
And Guy, you've just hopped off a flight from Istanbul and you're full of energy.
Yeah, and I was here on time. As an ADHD person, can I say that for a first thing? Second of all, this show has already been the biggest example of ADHD. Everyone in this whole production needs to get tested. We've had people walking back and forth, mics on and off, glasses of water. a shambles, and that's neurodiversity,
your voice
baby.
has risen by about 50% since.
Because anger at you.
Why do you have kids to get home to?
No, I don't.
I've got my kids with
Yeah,
me.
okay.
You're working harder.
Okay, you're a hero. I'm sorry.
So we were going to ask you guys we're going to have to, like, what does it mean to have ADHD? You've demonstrated already, I think, the first minute or two of this discussion. We can see it. Okay, let's start with
No,
Guy.
I was saying don't start with me.
No, start with you.
Minnie's in charge.
Oh, that's right, I'm in charge. Okay. So we'll start with you.
I'm not a good person to ask because I got asked to be in a documentary.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would you want me in a documentary about ADHD? I have no idea. And it was a really embarrassing for me, funny, but embarrassing, because everyone on the documentary is crying, heartfelt, talking about how ADHD changed their lives forever. I'm on the documentary during this montage saying, I don't believe it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And looking like the biggest asshole in the world because I kind of haven't really thought about it a lot. But since I don't know a lot, so I'm not an expert. I've read 1.5 books that I barely finished on ADHD and my own personal experience. I've been diagnosed now. It's a spectrum, I think. And that's why it's funny when me and Anika were pointing at each other, because I was going, start with her because she's real ADHD, so you'll really see her. But I think she was pointing at me going, start with him, he's real ADHD.
I forgot what I was saying.
ADHD, yes.
Oh.
It's funny because when you shine a spotlight on it, you actually turn more ADHD.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed 5 years ago, actually during COVID, with my therapist online, but I was so annoyed because I already knew I had ADHD, and I was annoyed I had to pay over $1,000 to get diagnosed.
Yeah.
That really, I really was just like, I don't want to pay this money. And then he was like, fill out this online form, and I'm like, I don't do forms. I can't even get through it. I had to sit down for an hour.
And that must be hard.
It was painful, but I did it, and they diagnosed me. But I was like, it's a superpower. Like, for me, it's not tears or vulnerability. It's like, how have I had a career if I did not have ADHD? That's why I love it. I love my superpower.
Do you believe it's true now? Do you believe it's a real thing?
I think it's a spectrum, and I think I'd be on the lower end, but believe it or not, because I don't know about...
Really?
No.
I was thinking...
Yeah, well, that's...
You can't do your work without your ability to have ADHD. Like, it's impossible.
It is true, because people often think I don't drink or do any drugs, and or I'm a loser, basically. But people always go, when they hit me on the street, they say, you must be so drunk or so crazy to do what you do, you must smoke so much weed. And I say no, and they're shocked. And I was like, maybe it's just ADHD, seems like I'm drunk or something like that. But yeah, never been drunk. But I just about forgot what I was going to say as well.
Well, don't you believe that it was a thing?
For me, I'll tell you why, because the diagnosis feels wishy-washy. You go talk to someone who's a really intelligent doctor who knows what they're talking about, but the spectrum is so wide. Like, yeah, do you drive crazy? Yeah. Do you talk loud? I was like, yeah, well, but I mean, my job's comedian, and I always thought I was kind of strong with the nature over nurture. For me, I was a very capable student with decent grades all the way through, and I was well behaved at school. If you look at my reports, apart from the occasional joke or prank or whatever. And when I got to 19 or 20, I realized that everyone has social anxiety, so you may as well be the goof at the party. I became a comedian, and my whole career I've been encouraged to be loud and obnoxious and say the wrong thing, and so I felt like I've developed the skill of ADHD.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Anika might be the same. Like, it's like you started just as a musician.
Yeah.
And then you did so well in interviews that you parlayed into a career in media and stuff. I was like, did you feel like you played it up or not, or was it always inside you?
It's me. I never play anything up.
You've never changed?
If anything, I read a script and I take what I want from it, and then the rest of it's me.
You said it's your superpower?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I have confidence. I never had social anxiety. I believed in myself 150%. But I come from a solo mum, on the dole, no money, no clothes, like poor as anything. But I still had confidence to do exactly what I wanted. Yeah. And I think that's a superpower.
Yeah. That's ADHD.
Yeah, because I probably foolishly believe that I can do anything. Like, people,
it's not foolish. I think you've proven it over and over.
A lot of people do think it's foolish because if you're too confident, I don't know. It's like that tall poppy syndrome. I was always told that I'll never make it. I'm a stupid Mary. All these things against me. But because I have ADHD, I just didn't believe them. I was like,
so for you, this is a relief. Well, I mean, it was good to get the diagnosis of the thing that you already knew. And expensive, so that wasn't so great.
Rip-offs.
But does it feel like lots of people are now being diagnosed, and does that feel okay for you?
Is it almost feels like a fad now? Like everybody has it?
Like, hurrah, I've got ADHD.
Well,
people celebrating it online.
I actually think there's more important things to think about than thinking it's a fad. I think perimenopause, what I'm going through, what you've gone through, I think that's more important and actually messes you up worse than ADHD. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. I just need PA basically to run my life, because that's the only thing that is a downfall to me is my memory and my impulsivity to want to do things, but then when the time comes, I can't see them through. I've got an acting class tonight, don't want to go, Bought some knitting needles, spent 10 minutes trying to fucking knit on or purl on, and I just gave up. If I'm not hyper-focused, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Only if it's my one desire and one, I'll die for my passion.
But also people with ADHD, I think, I'm not an expert, so don't quote me on anything I say about ADHD, but I think you're attracted to loose, flimsy, comedy and music careers, as opposed to, we're not going to be lawyers or accountants.
Hell no.
Yeah. Can I chip in on the fad thing? Because I believe it's a fad, and I think it's a good thing. Because people have always said I'm a bit weird or I'm too loud or whatever it is. And it's nice to go, I have this thing now. The doctor has said this is, and it's like, it explains parts of my life that I didn't know before. And I think everyone should. My parents are of the generation, they're beautiful people, but they do have that view that mental health issues aren't really a thing, or you don't need to talk to an expert.
You don't have depression.
Which is totally understandable. You can live your life that way, absolutely. But I was like, you might want to go, hey, why am I like this? And there's so many people on the autistic scale or the ADHD scale, whatever, and they're kind of connected, who could make major life improvements if they spoke to someone.
So was it a relief, or what did it mean to you to have this diagnosis?
It was a little bit of a relief, because I did always go am I normal? Because you wonder that. I do weird things at home, and I was like, do other people live their lives like this? And it's my life's become weirder and weirder as my career's become weirder and weirder. And the weirdest thing about ADHD for me, the reason I thought it was fatty is because it was so broad. Yeah. It's we all get distracted by our phones now, and there is an element of the way the world is now is so it makes you ADHD. Our reading retention and comprehension is going way down because of our obsession with addiction to the internet, unfortunately. But the other thing, I forgot the other thing.
Can I interrupt? Yes. You say that all your friends think you're weird and you're a bit crazy and a bit wild, but my feeling on that is society is so constructed to be that we don't fall into the rules of society, and I fucking hate rules, and I hate people telling me what I should be like and how I should act. So that's a societal thing. That's a function of society that are drive normal, talk normal, don't talk loudly, don't shine, don't run naked. You can't do anything because...
Yeah, but you can, because you're popular for what you do, so you can do it.
Are you saying an ADHD diagnosis might give people permission to be the whole of who they are? So they can shine. They can go, that's just who I am. Stop hiding it.
But also, you feel like you're too much. But society tells us how you should be and buy a house, do this, have a job. And it's no, just live your life. That's what I'm saying about you. It's you would have been brought up thinking that you were different. You're not different. You're just a human being.
Yeah. I will say though, just to pull that back a little bit.
With a fishing rod.
Should still try and buy a house, people, or.
I don't agree with that.
There's a little bit of. You got to live somewhere when you're older.
Yeah, but I live in Te Ao Māori.
You've always said...
I live in Te Ao Māori.
And you always give up jobs and don't worry about it. You've told me that you sort of go, I'm done with that.
When I'm done, I'll give it up. Gently and kindly. Yeah. I won't throw everything up.
Whereas others would be cautious about that and worried about that. You're not.
No, because... and getting to your buy a house thing, when I get old, I've got 4 kids. They're going to fucking take me in. That's whānau. It's a society, though. This is the Pākehā that we're living in. And I don't agree with it. Whānau, whenua, tangata whenua, Now it's turned into black.
Yeah. Okay. I got to be honest with you that you've played a Pakeha card there, and you've snookered me well played.
And I'm good at snooker too.
But all I was saying is, like, I don't know, I'm very impulsive as well, but I'm lucky that I had I have alcoholism in my family. I'm lucky that my mum was very anti-alcohol growing up, because one thing about my ADHD personality potentially is that I'm highly susceptible to addiction, and I can get addicted to. I think I'm addicted to the website Reddit. You know, that's how sad. That's how sad I'm at. I'm addicted to going to musical theatre shows. Like, there's something. I was just in London on the West End, and I went to a show every night. On some days, I went to 2 shows in a day. I'm like, something's not right here. I'm bankrupting myself.
You're hyper-focusing on something that you love.
No, it's beautiful, but like financially idiotic. And it's like, you've got to find a little bit of balance. There's got to be a little bit of control sometimes.
Yeah.
Do either of you take medication for it?
That's interesting. I just went cold turkey 6 weeks ago. I was on it for a year and a half, and I couldn't do it anymore. It was. Are you on medication?
Yeah, dexamphetamine, which is quite powerful.
That's what I was on.
But it gives me energy throughout the day, so I take it sporadically when I need it. But it hasn't. A lot of people find there's maybe like multiple trains of thought that it brings into one, and that's life changing for them. I haven't had that life changing experience.
I have, but I found it to be absolutely boring and numbing. It made me numb, and it made Anika small and quiet and not too much.
Wow.
So it really changed my personality, and now that I'm off them, I'm like me again.
Do you not sometimes think, oh, it'd be nice to have the superpower of focus for a day, should I take one to get some shit done?
Yes, but then I realised I don't know what changed me. From going to work every day and doing all my work and being really reliable and responsible. When did that change, though? I never wasn't.
Okay.
I may have had a few outbursts, but I'm seriously, it's perimenopause. Perimenopause has taken me off track, not my ADHD.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's what I...
Because the combination of the two is actually quite hard for a lot of women.
It's so hard, and so many women are going through this, and people just refuse to talk about it, and I don't. I talk to everyone who've got ears.
What would you say to people who are watching this and think they may have ADHD? What would your advice be?
I'm not a doctor.
No, but you went through it yourself.
It's a spectrum. If it's really, really bad, pills. If it's not that, if it's fun and you're having a great life, why take drugs? I think that the system is flawed, as in they just give you a pill when they think there's something wrong with you, and I reject that. So live your life, man. Keep writing your beautiful comedy. I'll keep writing songs. You know?
Do you think it exists?
Yes, because if it didn't, I probably would have not be where I am right now. I also went and saw a psychiatrist. They're very expensive in New Zealand, even with health insurance.
And there's a waiting list.
Yeah, but
there's a big equity issue in there.
Yes. They just give you antidepressants. I'm like, I'm not depressed. I've got perimenopause. But they don't. I mean, my psychotherapist was amazing. I don't want your stupid drugs. I can
imagine you say that to them as well.
I don't want no drugs. The first Māori in the world to say,
oh my God,
I don't want no stink drugs. I just, fresh air, walk your dogs, be kind to yourself, have a good feed.
So I would say, to answer the question, go to talk to an expert if you have that privilege, and just they don't force it on you. Anika was making it sound like they're like you should maybe try this or try that.
Only because I was vulnerable and crying in fetal position with my people. You know. So I had to.
So for me, it was very like trial and error kind of thing, and anything that just helps people live their life more. To how they want to live it, I think is a good thing. You don't have to take any drugs just to understand, oh, this is how I work and this is what I need to do to, overcome some small problems. I think it's a wonderful thing that more and more people are learning about their mental health. It's great.
Do you think that it's hereditary?
I thought it definitely is, right?
So it runs through, from...
And that's the hilarious thing. So my sister has it. So I didn't know that at the time. So if my sister has it, then chances of me having it are high. Means chances of one of my parents having it incredibly high, and that's hilarious because both of my parents go, he's got it, she's got it, she's got it.
So they must both have it. Yeah.
Right, final advice, final thoughts. What do you want to leave us with?
I don't know. I just feel like it's such a huge deal for people.
Yeah.
And I'm being quite flippant about it. But because of my experience with it, so you know, the whole spectrum, everyone is different. I'm just like, I'm got acting class tonight and I'm supposed to come prepared, but I can't. I just cannot prepare.
Are you going to go?
Yeah.
Are you going to go? Oh, good.
That's my new role, is I force myself to do things.
Because earlier you said you weren't going to go, so now you've changed your mind, so that's good.
No, I don't want to go, but I have
You're
to.
Go.
Awesome. And I can't act. Fuck. Why, what's your last words?
Act up.
Yeah.
Don't take me and Anika's word for it though. Listen to some listen to some experts, and watch out for. There's a lot of trash online as well. I think there's probably a lot of misinformation out there.
Get it from Reddit.
Some of what I've said might be misinformation as well. I don't know, but everyone should go on their own journey. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Namaste.
Anika, you guys are awesome. It's so good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having us, and congratulations on the new show. You guys are doing a wonderful job, and I'm so excited to be part of this.
It's time for the big question. How real is all this? Is it under or overdiagnosed? And frankly, is it even a real thing? Or are all these adult diagnoses just part of the worried well? So let's meet our two experts. We've got neuropsychiatrist Dr. Greg Finucane, who's been diagnosing adult ADHD for more than 2 decades.
And we also have Sami Tamimi, a child and adolescent psychiatrist and psychotherapist who's written a book called Searching for Normal, and he joins us now from Britain.
Thank you guys for joining us. And our first question is to you, Sami. Is ADHD real?
It's an invented concept.
You're saying it's not real?
I'm saying that the concept doesn't equate to something specific and characteristics. The behaviors, of course, exist, but they are just behaviors. We've put them into a framework of considering them as some sort of medical condition, or in these days also as some specific type of neurological difference. That's the bit which there is no evidence for. That is the bit that's invented.
Invented, and there's no evidence. Greg, what's your response to that?
If I put my neuropsychiatry hat on, I would be asking Sami, so do you believe that measuring attention, do you believe that such a thing as cognitive disorder? Because from my point of view, if you can demonstrate a cognitive disorder and it's developmental, that's what we mean by ADHD.
If you look at what is being called symptoms of ADHD, so look at any manual, look at any questionnaire that is used to make a diagnosis, and they're all behaviors. And they all start with words like often. So, for example, a familiar one for me as a child psychiatrist is often squirms in their seat. But what is a unit of squirm? How often is often? So anything that is so susceptible to being expanded in this direction, in that direction, is because it is subjective. It is in the eye of the beholder. There is nothing objective, nothing like taking a blood pressure, which gives you a measurement.
We need to bring Greg in here.
Something objective that's going on.
Yeah, so let's talk about blood pressure then. So blood pressure is on a statistical range. If you take an individual, you can compare them with what the norms are, but you can put numbers around that. And one of the issues with ADHD, from my experience, is that nobody has exactly the same cognitive disorder. And so it's a problem finding what are the correlates with this individual that, let's say, to put it crudely, their brain is not functioning normally. Now, it's obviously bell curves.
What
you go
evidence
out.
would you have that the brain is not functioning normally? I mean, you've just made my point here. You've just made my point.
Can I answer that? So what I'm talking about is if you're using attentional tests that can show that an individual's cognition is outside of the normal range, and the normal range taken as 2.5, 3 more standard deviations from the average for that population. So you can put a number on it much of the time. So the problem in our field is that there are many psychiatrists who think you can make this diagnosis just by ticking some boxes on some questionnaires, even getting the relatives to tick some boxes. I agree with Sami that that's not adequate to decide that something's real. What I'm objecting to is that there are no ways of assessing to see if people's cognition is normal or not? Of course there are. We've got lots of ways of looking at that.
But something is going on here, because it seems like every man and his dog seems to be diagnosed with ADHD at the moment.
Well,
it's exploded.
This problem with self-diagnosis, and I'm sure Sami wants to talk about this some more, the whole TikTok phenomenon, all this kind of thing, that people come to you for a diagnosis and they've already made up their mind they have this diagnosis with effort after meaning to explain their problems. And we have the same problem with people after mild traumatic brain injury.
I feel it's really sad that as a culture, we're selling false fixes. What I have seen happen with a lot of people is that they start off by feeling that ADHD has given them a sense of explanation, a sense of, okay, now I understand what's going on. And different people,
But that's good, isn't it, Sami? If people have a sense of understanding of their own behaviour, isn't that a good thing? And if the medication helps them,
but they have an understanding. But I often feel it's a bit like a cruel trick that's been played on people. They tend to make you feel better for a while, but after a while, you start to feel you're not getting what you hope to get, or that there's something better. And if they turn to medication as a way of, and the evidence, by the way, on medication is really quite, it's quite problematic. Problematic, particularly in the long term, because what we're talking about here are amphetamine or amphetamine-like medications.
The evidence does show that out of the psychiatric medications used for mental health problems, stimulants for ADHD is the most effective intervention. Much more effective than antipsychotics for schizophrenia, much more effective than antidepressants for depression if it's defined well enough.
right?
Sami, if we stop diagnosing ADHD, what do you do for those people who are struggling to focus, hold down a job, or even manage their daily lives?
I think there's a lot of things that we can do. I think the first thing that we do is that I'd like to see happen is for us to be able to accept each other as we are, rather than feeling that in order to find some comfort in who we are, we have to reach out for some sort of label.
There's good evidence that untreated ADHD leads to substance use problems, promotes depression, anxiety, and all that kind of thing. So trying to treat those aspects without treating the underlying disorder is a problem.
No, the evidence is not good on any of that. And I disagree very much about the characterization of amphetamine-like substances as being an effective treatment. And when you look at the long-term outcome studies, a very different picture emerges. Worse outcomes in terms of self-esteem, in terms of socialization. They end up with higher blood pressure. They often end up shorter and lighter. So these are things that come with a lot of side effects.
The issue here is that everything is very individual. So if you've been treating adult ADHD patients for a few decades, you do get a sense of this. So absolutely, there are some patients who should not be treated with stimulants. Some people respond very well to the non-stimulants. There are a range of other options. You shouldn't be using medication without also looking at the behavioural aspects, looking at how people are organising their lives, helping with sleep. The medication is not very effective if people aren't sleeping well, so attention to sleep is very important, etc.
So you agree, you and Sami agree on some basic things. I mean, I hear you saying that you agree that actually there are parts where you don't need to take medication.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I know that you're concerned about is equity in terms of being able to access the help that you need, whether that results in medication or not.
Look, that's right. And this is an important issue because if ADHD is real, which I think it is, because in my patients, I measure their attention.
Do you think it is or do you know it is?
Well, what's real? You know what I mean? We can go off down a rabbit hole and...
We're asking a psychiatrist what's real.
Well, no, if you look at, okay, so is ADHD a natural kind, if we want to go into, proper philosophy? Well, no, it's not, is it? It's a bunch of things lumped together. And so you can't treat everybody with ADHD in the same way.
So how, given that there's been this massive spike with adults, I mean, how busy are you now?
Quite busy.
You're just flat out. People can people see you easily? Can they afford it?
Well, the waiting lists are long and it's not very affordable, that kind of thing. If we come back to the equity business, so if, contra Sami, if there's such a thing as ADHD, if that leads certain people to be more impulsive and all that sort of thing, is this a partial explanation for the number of Māori males in prison, 50% of the population? Why wouldn't we be identifying if there's something we can do for those people to help them stay out, etc., and lead their lives in a different way?
Excuse me, did I just hear you right? Did you say that if there is ADHD and
it's a real problem.
in Maori males,
the equity problem is real in this country.
You're saying one of the reasons might be that
it's a
Maori
contributing
males
factor in some individuals.
are likely to be more likely to end up in prison is because they have a higher rate of undiagnosed
I'm saying
ADHD?
It's a contributing factor in some individuals, just as traumatic brain injury is a contributing factor in some Māori males with levels of violence, etc. Those people do not think very clearly. It may just mean they're more likely to be caught.
Let me pick up on something else. As we slip into the idea that ADHD might cause you to become somebody who is, because of your impulsivity, because of your hyperactivity, somebody who is criminal, then that in itself is where this is heading. It's heading like that with autism. It was bound to happen at some point. And so it's going to increase the stigma towards people with the diagnosis. So far from reducing stigma, these slippery concepts have a habit, especially when you think of them as something that's neurological that you can't help. It has a habit of turning it into something that people fear.
Okay.
So
thanks for that.
Stigma is not good, but I've spent a professional lifetime dealing with people with epilepsy, and I can tell you there's plenty of stigma around epilepsy.
We do have to wrap
I would actually want to ask Sami, what is your definition of mental disorder, Sami?
We literally don't know what we're talking about when it comes to mental disorders because it's all subjective. That's the point I've been trying to make.
So you're saying there is no mental disorder? Is this back to the old anti-psychiatry from the 70s? Is that what we're talking about here?
I'm saying it is conceptual.
Let me jump in again. Epilepsy is conceptual. The ILAE revises the definition every 3 or 4 years or so. Are you saying epilepsy doesn't exist because the definition gets revised? We went
no.
Having to have two seizures to having one seizure plus, etc. Now, and I would remind you, I'm measuring attention in these people when I make a diagnosis. I'm not just getting them to tick boxes. I'm seeing what their attention is actually like, what their cognitive functions are like. And it can be quite surprising. I agree that if you're not measuring anything, it's all constructed and you haven't got anything to hang your hat on. But if you do, are you saying that doesn't matter? Neuropsychological testing is irrelevant.
There is no shortcut to an individualized approach, that lumping things together, because actually that's something that I agree. I think we should be doing specific profiling, and I do cognitive profiling and have done that, because there is no shortcut. But ADHD is itself a constructed concept that leads to stereotyped ideas, and I think I don't think we should be using it at all.
And Greg?
If we found another diagnostic term that people took a bit more seriously and led to better processes, I'm in favour of that.
Okay, excellent. We found somewhere that we agree on at the end anyway. We appreciate you both so very much, and also your different takes on this. I think that people will get a lot out of this discussion, and hopefully it leads people to take more of their own, take underway their own research on this matter. But Dr. Sami Tamimi and Dr. Greg Finucane, we appreciate you both very much coming on to The Elephant today.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, brother. Kia hau whakaaro.
Okay, I think it's real.
Yeah.
And I think Anika and Guy made very good cases that these are real people with ADHD and what it's done to them and finding out. But I loved Anika's thing, that it was actually a superpower. It's something that she could use in a positive way in her life, and it helped her understand who she was. So I think, the danger is that we can see some of those symptoms in all of us. I'm distracted, I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm unfocused. But does that mean we have ADHD? I can see how people go down rabbit holes.
Yeah, and I think people do love a bit of a screening test, don't they? But we've got to remember that it is just a screening test. It's not actually a diagnosis. And I thought Guy spoke really well about the doubt that there is around the scope of ADHD. You know, it was interesting to hear from someone who's been diagnosed with ADHD that first of all, he didn't think it was real. And then when he was diagnosed, he's saying, well, yeah, I can see why it going too far.
And I can see why people thought Guy had ADHD.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. To be in the room with him, that guy has mad energy. But
yeah, he's bloody brilliant, isn't he?
I think there's a lot of creative people, and these are two of the most creative New Zealanders that I know, who have actually used this and become incredibly successful, and I have to say even much loved New Zealanders.
You're absolutely right. These are people who say that it hasn't stopped them from doing anything. And in fact, as you say, Anika said it's helped her. So I just think it's a really fascinating conversation. Has it gone too far? Are too many people being diagnosed? But does that mean that ADHD does not exist? I'm not convinced about that.
Same with you.
All right, that's the elephant for this week. Remember, you can catch us on the New Zealand Herald's homepage, YouTube, iHeart, and your favourite social media platform.
The elephant in the room. Time to talk.
Until next time, ngā mihi nui, e te whānau mauri ora.